do a quick reintroduction of myself. My name
Okay.
is KJ Garner. I am a current commissioner on the Metro Nashville Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission, as well as being the founder and current board president of Bike Fun, which is a bicycle education service nonprofit based here in Middle Tennessee. We are a small group, but our impact has been quite large and it's very joyful, which is why I talk about creating bike joy, as opposed to necessarily creating bike riders or even bike advocates. You want to come from a joyful place. So I've got a little presentation here about creating bike joys for all ages here with Bike Fun, as well as holding entities accountable with our Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Commission. So just real quick, who am I? I'm just a gal trying to get around in Nashville without always using a car. I have lived here for about 20 years. It's 20 years this year, originally from North Carolina, kind of lived all over the US. And I find that my greatest joy comes from making sure that people have the resources they need. So somebody says, you want to do something with this event? Great. Hey, some other person said they want to do something with this event, and I'll connect them. It makes me very happy to ensure that other people have the resources they need to succeed in whatever they're doing. So, and I do advocate for freedom of movement overall. That includes scooters, that includes bikes, that includes walking, that includes transit. It also does include cars, but there's an asterisk next to the cars, let's say. So, and then that's a picture of me there with my mom. And you can see I'm about 4 in that picture, and you can see my feet aren't even touching the ground. That is what I call the parental dilemma of, do you buy the bike that fits or do you buy the bike that they'll grow into? So clearly my parents went with the bike they'll grow into. So let's talk about BPAC, right? So what is a BPAC? Why is it necessary? So in Nashville, we've had a BPAC since 2009, but it was only put together as an ad hoc mayoral committee. So with each successive mayor, they could choose to either, renew or, get rid of that. And that's what did happen in 2019. So several bike advocates, myself included, worked on legislation to present at council to reformulate the Bicycle Pedestrian Advisory Commission and make sure that it was grounded in Metro law. So now it is in the code as a standing committee. And so it will continue ad infinitum until perhaps someone decides to get rid of it, but they have to do that via the council legislation. So it was revived in 2023. We had our first meeting in May of 2024. And our first goal that we were given was to apply for the League of American Bicyclists Bicycle Friendly Community. And that was a designation that we had Nashville had through 2019 at the bronze level, goes all the way up to platinum. We received our notification back from the league a few months ago, and we are indeed still at the bronze level. So I think that indicates that there certainly has been some progress. We know as bicycle advocates, there has been some progress in getting safer routes around town, but it's truly, we haven't done enough to make that leap to the next status, which would be silver. We have 13 members on the commission, or 13 member places. We've got some staggered terms because we're just getting started. And we've actually never had a full flush of membership. Unfortunately, since we got started, we kind of stagnated at 12. We had another commissioner recently had to resign. So right now we're down to 11 commissioners. That being said, if you're interested in joining, there is a link on the BPAC webpage, which I'll show at the end of this slide deck, that you can send in your application. It's an interesting process. If you've never applied to be on a commission, you have to go through council interviews and then be confirmed at council. So it's a good thing to participate in this sort of what I call the sausage factory. It's my interest is very specific. So, all right. So who serves on the BPAC? These are the names of the folks who are on the BPAC. You may recognize some of them. You may not recognize any of them. You'll know me. I'm KJ Garner. So We have Catherine McDonald, she's the chair, and Matthew Hertz as vice chair. So we have 2 officer positions, and then the rest of us. I would say that our backgrounds vary. Some come from corporate environments, some come from influencer or entrepreneurial environments, and some folks are retired. Some come from the advocacy community and nonprofit community. So these are the folks who are there currently now. And I think they're a pretty good crew. They're fun to be around. So the controversial statement I'm going to make is that pedal taverns and scooters are not the problem. So if you get a chance to drive downtown, you might feel frustrated that there's a pedal tavern in front of you. Well, pedal taverns aren't allowed to operate during rush hour. So if you drive during rush hour, you're still going to get stuck. Why? Because we have volume. So it's managing the volume and managing the flow, presuming that you had one single person, single operator car and one bicycle. You would know that the bicycle doesn't take up as much space. And there's some graphics that have been floating around showing if you have 50 bicycles, that's, and versus 50 cars, you could fit 50 of the bicycles in the space that maybe 5 cars would be in. So we know that it's the size of the vehicles as well as the sort of volume of the vehicles. So at the BPAC, we're only an advisory commission. We can make suggestions. We can't make a law. We can't enforce a law, but we can certainly make it difficult for people who aren't making or enforcing laws. We talk about a lot of things. Block bike lanes and sidewalks come up, tactical urbanism projects, and that's something you may have seen in your neighborhood where all of a sudden there's a very colorful intersection that's designed to reduce speed, to have drivers have a visual interrupter when they're moving around. We've got some information on open streets. I know Walk Bike Nashville is taking the lead on creating an open streets handbook. So if you wanted to have a block party in your neighborhood, you can apply for a permit, get that happen. We've talked about the Hub Nashville. That is the Metro data collection reporting software, I should say. It's essentially anybody that sees a problem that hasn't been addressed, like there's a stop sign that's been hit and it's down on the ground, right? You can file that in the Hub and it will go into a work order queue, and will be addressed. If you don't say anything about it, then you're just waiting for either somebody else to report it or for maybe NDOT to notice that something's wrong and fix it. So this is the citizen reporting tool that is very helpful for creating data for Nashville. And then the East Bank Boulevard, of course, the East Bank project is going to be really big. It's big. And the BPAC is fighting for more space for people who are walking and biking in that project. So we do welcome the public to come and speak, and have had some very interesting conversations based on those public comments. You could sign up at the beginning of the meeting and you get, I think, about 3 minutes, although if there's not as many people there to speak, then sometimes we'll go a little over. And you're welcome to just come and speak your piece and leave if you need to. So we've got whole bunches of things that are wrong with the way that modern infrastructure and modern engineering has designed the physical landscape in which we move around. The author of The High Cost of Free Parking, Donald Shoup, he recently passed away, but one of his quotes is explaining why is it hard to get around? I live up in Madison. I live off Neely's Bend Road. I don't have anything to go to except a park, which is nice, but it's about a 2-mile walk to get to the park. By the time I walk to the park, I'm tired. I want to go back. So having a 15-minute city isn't necessarily that we're wanting to shove everybody into the same area, into a box of multi-family housing. It's that we want there to be services. And I say we, by we I mean I want there to be services within a 15-minute walk or bike ride of where someone is living or even where someone is working. So you can access those things. But since the primary mode of transportation in the United States typically tends to be the motor vehicle, that develops sprawl, and sprawl makes things harder for people on a human scale. So I've got a screenshot here from the from the Census Bureau and also from the American Places Project, the American Community Survey, non-car modes of getting to work in 2022. So Nashville, we've got a 1.5 transit mode share, 0.4 bike mode share, and 1.8 walk mode share. Basically means that of the people responding to that survey, that was the percentage of people who said they either took transit, biked, or walked to work. And then about 22% of people working from home, which does also help to eliminate or alleviate some stress on the traffic mode in town. And then two other city states that are considered to be peer cities to us, Austin in Texas and Charlotte. So both Austin and Charlotte have better transit mode shares than Nashville does. Charlotte not by much, but they also have sort of a low bike mode share. So it's like we're working to get people onto transit. We're leveraging this Choose How You Move initiative to expand our WeGo transit system. But what are we doing to get people walking and biking? So again, article from 2023, Nashville Banner in the lower right. They're talking about we have 1,900 miles of sidewalks that are in critical need, and in 2023, 8 miles were built by Metro. So the question becomes, how are we going to build? What are we going to do for quick builds? And it's a lot to think about. We are a large by land acreage city. And so it becomes difficult to create these human scale transportation networks. So BPAC will bring people in that have data on that. We'll question people, we'll ask them, what can we do? How can we make things better? And issue recommendations based on that. So about Bike Fund generally, I created Bike Fund in 2016 as a sort of one-on-one. People were saying they didn't know how to ride bikes. I said, I can fix that. Became a league cycling instructor via the League of American Bicyclists. And so that put me into some training to teach people how to ride a bike and how to ride safely and enjoyably. We have expanded quite a bit since then. We turned into a nonprofit in 2020 and then started creating events, started creating rides, started creating classes and workshops. And to date, we've helped, I would say, at least 1,000 people, if not more. So that's pretty good for a very small organization that's working on a more or less one-on-one level. People always ask me, doesn't everyone know how to ride a bike? And a lot of times that's possibly not the case. We get people who have been traumatized as kids by their parents, by their relatives, by their peers, and they stop riding or never learned how to ride. So they come back to us. They learn how to maintain their bicycle. They learn how everything works, and we start to empower them from the ground level. The youngest student we've had was 3. Oldest was actually older than 73, but 3 to 73 sounds better. And students can be learning for the first time, even at an older age. We've had some students come to us in their 50s and 60s who did not know how to ride a bike, but really wanted to learn how. And we think that's fantastic. Some of our Bike Fund trends that we've noticed over the past 5 years, we do have students that come back for a refresher, or maybe they've learned how to ride and they want to start riding with low stress casual riding groups. So they come back to ride with us. They come back for events. We have a good core of community partners that list us as a trusted resource. So, hey, so-and-so said they wanted to get a bike. Oh, you should talk to Bike Fund. They help you figure out what kind of bike you want and where to get it. Of course, via past partners, we get new connections. And then we have a lot of word of mouth, honestly. Like one of the reviews that we've got on our Google page says something like, parents, just set aside your ego and let them teach your kid. Why? Because it'll save your back and your brain. So two items that I've had parents tell me that, or 2 things that parents have told me that they wish they had outsourced to teach their kids. Number one was potty training. Number two was bike riding. And you know how to do it. You know how to ride a bike, but you don't necessarily know how to explain how to ride the bike. And that's where we come in. We help with that explanatory part. We have a pretty big expanded classes. We just started our season last weekend, and we had a 7 and 8-year-old learn to ride class that was full since early February. We do small group classes with the learn to ride classes typically, and then we also host a larger all ages learn to ride. So we have everybody in that class is either 5 and up basically. So we've had some really unique interactions that have happened with students that are younger, talking to students that are older, helping them overcome their fears, this kind of mutual connection. It's quite lovely, actually. And then we do like to try and do some intermediate riding skills classes. And for folks who haven't ridden in a while, adults who are coming back to riding, we have a free class that we go over how everything works and how to get going and how to shift gears, how to brake, all of that. And that typically tends to help that adult rider get more confident and get back into the riding world.
Yeah. KJ, do you also teach like rules of the road, like, hand signals or things like that for riders?
Oh, absolutely. So that's going to be more or less in the intermediate riding skills class. And then when we do group rides, like for the Pedal the Park ride series, for example, we will explain how to indicate things that are coming up. So if you're riding with a group, you got to say that you're stopping, or maybe there's a pothole, so how to indicate those things exist to the people behind you. So it's coming together in like a community collaborative uh, sort of way as well. So yeah, so for the ride series we do with Friends of Shelby Park, Pedal the Park, that's in Shelby Park and Bottoms. Our first ride is coming up on April 14th. We do the second and fourth Mondays of the month. It is free. It is low stress. It is casual. We are primarily Greenway, although not always. But the best thing about this particular ride series is that if you don't have a bike, we will bring a bike that fits you and works. So it's our effort to try and make our group inclusive and equitable for people who may not have access to bicycles. Why would you have a bicycle if you don't have a safe place to ride it? Why would you have a bicycle if you don't have a safe place to store it? So there's a lot of questions that come up when we're talking about just riding a bike. Lots of other things to think about too. And then we have a lot of free events that we do free and open to the public. The biggest one that we host is the Bicycle Festival. So this year we're doing that on April 12th. That's next Saturday. And it's our third year. The first couple of years we did something fairly low key, just had people around talking about bike stuff, advocacy, riding, different events, things like that. This year we took some feedback from the last couple of years and incorporated it. So we will also have food trucks. We will have more activities, and we're going to have more partners. We've also sought sponsorships, and we're able to pay for the festival as well as create a Learn to Ride a Bike camp for the South Inglewood Community Center summer campers this summer. So that's a really nice connection that we have. They've been a great community partner with us, and we've really enjoyed being over there. The Bicycle Revival we'll do with Oasis Bike Workshop. That's coming up in May. Community Dinner Bike Repair. If you're not familiar with Trinity Community Commons, they do a community meal every Tuesday. And so we're going to be there at the beginning of the month, so the first Tuesday of the month. And we're just basically showing up, popping up. If you've got a question about riding places, you got a question about your bike, you think, well, my brake is not right, we can help you figure that out. And then at our bike lab, our physical location that we just got last year, we do an open shop. So if you don't have the tools or a work stand or the supplies to fix your bike or clean your bike or maintain your bike, we can help you with that. We can provide that. It's donation based, but if you don't have the funds, we will absolutely still help you out. And we do that 2 times a month. It is on the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, and that's January through November. So the open shop has been super fun and really helps us use that space that we have. So we talk about small nonprofits. These are typically what our needs have been, and with a little bit of time, I think we can figure all that out. Every year, I do a summation of what we've done for the previous, for the previous year. These are two slides from those. So we've had a good number of volunteers coming up in 2024. We're going to have more because we have reached out more for the bicycle festival, and we are so grateful for any community help, support, even if it's just showing up for one class. So say you want to spend 2 hours with us on a Saturday teaching 5 and 6 year olds how to ride, that would be awesome. And we really need your support as cheerleaders and as an extra like adult body, typically for those youth learn to ride classes. Excuse me. And then I think every nonprofit struggles with, well, every small nonprofit struggles with having a steady funding source. So we're looking to increase that either through grants or corporate contributions, as they were. I try to do a lot of things well, but I wind up doing not as many things as good as I could. So we've missed a couple of grant opportunities from that, but definitely if anybody out there is a grant writer and wants to contribute their knowledge and intelligence, we are all about that. And then this is me standing outside of our space with the crew with our 7 and 8 year old learn to ride class. It was summertime. You can tell the guy on the left there is a little sweaty, but we all had fun and everybody learned something. That is typically what I want to impress upon people. Even if you don't learn how to ride a bicycle in 2 hours, you have learned something. And a lot of times the students that come to our classes do progress to pedals, either adult or child. But some that don't will either pick it up, after another session with their parents, or they'll come back to us for a one-on-one class, and usually takes about, I would say, on average, 2 hours to learn how to ride a bike. But it takes as long as it takes. We've had some students that have worked with us for about a year, and once they start riding, boy, you can't get them off that bicycle. So these are some of our sayings that we use with our students, and we want to make sure that they understand it's not just about getting on the bike and moving it. You've got to understand your own power with this bit of knowledge. There's a lot of hills around Nashville, and some of our adult riders are just like, oh, hills. I'm like, well, get off and walk. Like, it's fine. Our students like to look down at their pedals as soon as they get their pedals. So that's why I've got, close your eyes. Are you still here? You don't have to look at the thing for it to exist. But if you were looking at the thing while you're riding, you're going to go towards the thing. So maybe look away from your little sister before you start moving on that bike. And last slide here, just if you want to connect with Bike Fun, that's our slate of social media options, plus our website, which is kept updated regularly with classes and events. And then our BPAC meets the third Monday of each month. Typically, if there's a holiday, we may have to change that, but we are always meeting at the Howard School building downstairs, 5 to 6:30 p.m. And Brent Schultz is our NDOT coordinator. NDOT is our partner. So they are the person to reach out to if you want to say something at a meeting but maybe can't make the meeting. He would be the person that would elevate that to the chair. And then the link at the bottom is it shows the agenda, upcoming agenda, past agendas, and past meeting minutes, as well as how to apply to be on the commission. And it's kind of fun because then you can walk around and tell your friends, well, I'm a commissioner for Nashville. So notice we're not a committee, we're a commission. Very not very important distinction, but I'm a commish. And if you wanted to elevate problems in your neighborhood or near where you work or near where you play, certainly bring that up to the BPAC. We would also advocate for you to reach out to your council members. It's my understanding that sending a blanket email to council members with the address is councilmembers@nashville.gov. Those don't always get as elevated. So if you look up your district or the district that your that your concern is in, you should also then write to that individual council member. And do note, we also have 4 at-large council members who are supposed to be responsive to needs all over the county. So that's what I've got for you all.
Well, and this has been wildly informative. This is great stuff. I think, one of the reasons why we do Hot Topics each month is to bring awareness to all of the activities that are going on. A lot of times on behalf of, volunteer efforts, citizens who said, hey, I want to do something, and here's how I can get involved. So that's always a great, looks like there's a lot of great opportunities here for people. And I think too, I'm going to make a special plea because I know a lot of our members have grant writing experience. And so we'll see, if we can't get you some help that way. So just before we go, quick recap of the dates coming up. We've got your next advisory commission meeting is April 21st, but you have some events before then. So the bike festival, and this is bicycles, okay, folks, bicycles. Bike
Not
Fest is coming up.
Yes, ding ding, not vroom vroom. Although bicycles and motorcycles do share a lot of visibility issues. So the Nashville Bicycle Festival is going to be held at the South Inglewood Community Center over in Inglewood, and it'll be on Saturday, April 12th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. There's going to be a lot of activities, including an all ages balance bike race, a bicycle parade, best dressed bicycle. The Civic Design Center will be working on their tactical urbanism project at the intersection of Shinkle and Branch. So there's an elementary school right across from the community center. A lot of their kids go for after school programs, and there's no real elevated crosswalk there to make car drivers aware, hey, we've got kids walking across the street. So they paired up with some of the folks in the neighborhood and the elementary school to create this really nice crosswalk that helps to make a good visual for that. We've got the bicycle, the Pedal the Park. That's right, the 14th. That's going to be our first Pedal the Park, and we meet at the Shelby Nature Center parking lot. And if you want to borrow a bike from us, all we need is for you to send an email at least 48 hours in advance. We prefer even more advance notice, but we understand if you have things that shift around. We meet at 5, we roll at 5:30, typically roll for about an hour. And if you have a younger rider that can keep up with an adult group from 8 to 10 miles an hour, they're welcome to come as well. So, but we'd love to see people out and rolling around with us for that.
Great, great. And I'll let everyone know my takeaway on a concept that has a name: tactical urbanism. I love that. Who knew? That's what there was a name for those intersections and bringing visibility and traffic calming to those important areas where danger lurks. So thank you so much, KJ. I really appreciate your time here today, and hopefully I will see you on the trails.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you. And I'm going to stop the recording now. See you next month, folks. There we go.